Hola, soy Daniela Barroso.
Hola amigos, soy Cristín de Clario.
Hola, somos Blessed.
Hola mis amigos, soy Benjamín Rivera de la tribu de Benjamín.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Les habla José Adrián Romero.
Hola, soy Andy Alemani.
Hola, ¿qué tal mi gente? Les habla Alex Zurdo y a todos los que están en sintonía.
Hola amigos, soy Alex Campos.
Hola amigos, les saluda Lucas Consuegra de la banda Living.
Hola amigos, te saluda Mónica Rodríguez.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Les saluda
Good morning, Houston and the world. Welcome to another episode of the Hero Network. Unfortunately, Vicky Cruz could not be with us today. As you found out last week, her younger daughter passed away, and so she's very busy with the funeral arrangements that are going to be taking place. Tomorrow is the viewing, and Friday is the burial. If you want to join us for these events, please reach out to us and we will provide you all the details. Today we have a very special program lined up for you. We are going to interview one of our certified hero coaches. His name is Raul Rodriguez. He has a very fascinating history, a story about life transformation and being raised in a very religious and controlling home environment that affected him in a positive and in a negative way. So you're going to hear how God works out in developing people and helping them and guiding them and giving them a purpose. So Raul, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Victor. I'm very happy to be here today, this morning. And yeah, definitely, there's a good story I think I could share with the audience.
Yes. So Raul, you were interested in the Hero program. You attended some events. You got to see what it's like. And listeners, if you are interested in becoming a coach, we always invite you. You have an open invitation to come experience Hero, because it's one thing to hear it from us, but it's another thing for you to be there to see the excitement of the students as their minds are lit up, as they begin to really pay attention. In some of the post-tests that we give, students tell us how they are motivated, how they have a brighter outlook for their life, how they're even inspired to become lawyers, engineers, all kinds of STEM professions that it wasn't in their mind. This was not something that they were thinking about, but because of exposing them to the Hero program and the leadership program, now they're on track to do great things with their life. So Raul, you attended some Hero events and then you went through the coaches certification training, which again, I'm the principal trainer, and I train trainers in the art of public speaking, group dynamics, as well as persuasive speaking. But enough about me. Raul, I want to get to your story.
Sure.
Tell us about where you're from.
Sure. I'm from Houston, Texas, raised on the north side of Houston, in fact. I went to Aldine School District, and that's pretty much my upbringing. I own a business today. It's in the security industry, but but it really took something for me to actually get out there and start doing something for myself. It took a lot.
Okay. So tell us, what was it like growing up in your family in the North Side?
Sure. Growing up, we were economically not in the best shape. We were very, we were poor, but however, we still had a roof and good food in our, to have around. However,
You had the basics.
correct. Thank you. In a nutshell.
Did you
Correct.
have love?
Lots of it from Mama. Mama,
Okay.
she showed a lot of love, and Daddy did too. And
As best as he could.
as best as he could with his program and mentality that he had, of
Right.
course, with his upbringing. And but however, it wasn't. There was no aspiration to have more, to do more, to become more.
Yes.
My parents did not have that at all, and so that itself wasn't really a good environment to flourish.
I want to ask you this, Raul. Did it start with your parents or did it start with your grandparents?
I would say now that I know, it started definitely with my grandparents.
Okay.
Yes.
How did that come about? Because it's fascinating how the children end up being the in some respects the victims or the recipients of the decisions of the grandparents. So tell us what you know about that.
What I know about that is when I went to visit them in Mexico when I was a kid, I saw a lot of anger. I saw
Okay.
a lot of no family love, I guess you
Okay.
could call it. I knew it was my family, but it was very not. I didn't have that. I'm happy to be here. I'll give you an example. When I got there, I went to the city to meet my grandparents. And the first thing that happens, my grandpa, he got upset with me and he chased me around the house and he patted me. He didn't.
Wow.
And so I didn't even know him.
Wow.
And so my mom I'm crying not because it hurt, but more because it's terrified me.
How
I'm like,
old
"Who
were
is
you
he?"
at the time?
Maybe about 6, 7.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe smaller. And then so he pats me, and I'm freaking out. I'm more scared that who's
Yes.
this man hitting me? He was a big guy.
You
so
don't
my
know
mom-
him, and all of a sudden,
and my mom's
you don't
like-
know what you did, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden now you're being punished.
Punished in another country.
Yes.
And then my mom tells me, that's your grandpa. I'm like, and I told myself, I can't stand, I'll never love that man.
Yeah.
That right there defined me. And then that happens, go to the ranch to meet my other side of the family.
Uh-huh.
And there I meet my cousins, and automatically one of my cousins comes at me and just starts scratching me and punching me. And I'm like, what the heck is going
Yeah.
on? I'm blocking me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, and I start, fighting back as best as I could, but it just caught me by surprise.
Sure.
I was like, what is going on? I'm trying to meet you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys are just attacking me from all directions. And then my grandma also, I met her, and she had no love for me. And it just broke. I just could not believe it. I was like, what the heck? This is my grandparents from both sides?
Yes.
My grandmother from that side, she would not even look at me.
Yes.
And I was like, as a kid, you're trying to understand this because I was raised in the U.S. thinking grandparents are awesome.
Right.
Grandma's going to get you chocolate
Right.
milk or something. And I wasn't seeing that, Victor. And so, that really just got me at first.
So think about that, listeners. Here you have an innocent child that is curious about meeting his grandparents and extended family in Mexico. And all of a sudden, he's exposed to violence, okay? Unnecessary, uncalled violence and mistreatment. And you can just imagine what kind of upbringing his parents had under this family dynamic, to where you basically had to fend for yourself and you had to fight every time that you wanted to do something. You had to fight for it.
That's correct. Part of my life was in Northside, Greens Point. And so you get to see a lot of fights and you get to do a lot of fights.
Yes.
And so even that, it was a fighting world there. So to me, it was like, I fight over here, now I have to fight over there. I was like, wow, but it is what it is. And there was something there that told me this is weird.
Yes.
This is not life. There's got to be more to this.
Okay. So in general, people that were raised under this kind of family environment tend to be predisposed and are at risk by being love bombed by partners that end up marrying them, love bombed by organizations that are trying to recruit you to their agenda, not necessarily looking out in your behalf, but for their agenda, because they're exploiting the emotional deficits that you have from growing up. So what happened in your family's case?
So I'm growing up, maybe around 6, 7, same age, we get my parents get introduced to a particular religion, and they start attending, they start practicing it, and I start learning, start seeing, that our birthdays aren't allowed, our Christmases aren't allowed. So I'm thinking, so I don't get anything already. Now I'm not going to get nothing at all. So as a kid, you're like, give me a break. What is going on here? What did I do?
And especially when you hear other kids, how they have well-adjusted families, how they have Christmas,
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
School, I hated going to school for that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Victor, coming back from the summer break, I remember everybody had new shoes, good shirts, and I had the same shoes or maybe some thrift store shoes and a messed up haircut because my mom would cut our hair. And God bless her. I know she was trying to do the best, but as a kid, you don't want that. And I'm in the richest country in the world.
Yes.
So
Now, so Raul, that what you're describing tends to create shame in the individual. Okay. Now, so I'm going to cite Brene Brown, a research psychologist, right here from U of H, Houston, that she said that based on her research, 10-year research project, that if you have shame in your childhood, what's going to happen is you're not going to experience the full range of emotions. We're capable of experiencing 750 emotions. And if you have shame shuts down a lot of those emotions.
Wow.
So that means that if there was constant shame about being this or being that or not being this or not being that, that means that you had a very narrow range of emotions that you felt growing up.
Right.
And of course, that's going to limit your mindset as far as what you dream about doing when you grow up, and a very limited experience in the whole fan of emotions. Now, Raul, how did that affect you in your relationships, personal relationships that you had with women?
sure. More than anything, self-confidence.
Okay.
I had no confidence at all. And from a young age, I did not want to exist. I did not want to be here.
Yeah.
And so I later learned, that was suicidal. Well, I never threatened myself because I didn't know how to threaten myself. I still was a kid, but I did not want to be here.
Right.
And so that really put a burden, as far as not even having the confidence to say, hey, this is mine. With women, with men, with people, in work, whatever it was. It doesn't have to be any relationship. Like you said, work ethic, or even trying to do a project, whatever it was. It was hard. I couldn't even transmit that thought, what I was wanting to give, what I wanted to show them. Hey, look, this, that.
Yeah.
It was hard. Any human being, I couldn't transmit my point of view. I had a hard time doing that.
Yes.
But I had the burning desire of doing it.
That's where you came from. That's where you were. I've read some of the post tests from our heroes.
Yes.
And they mention you specifically. They mention your name, how they felt inspired by your story.
Oh, wow.
That it really touched them. It really inspired them.
It's unbelievable.
So tell us, Raul, that was the foundation you had. Right. How did you escape that foundation?
So the way that happened, God is amazing. I love my Father God. He really put me on a course. I think sometimes some of these things that happen to us in life is to forge us just like a diamond. Going to school, we couldn't get peaks all the time, hardly any time. So school had this little project, this little thing about doing school reports. If you finish a report, you would get a coupon to go get a small little pizza. So I said, you know what? I think I can do this. So I started making those school reports, and I'd read the book, get the report done, and I turned it in the next day, and I get my pizza, my coupon to go get my pizza. I'd get the pizza in the afternoon, and I'd share with my break bread with my brothers, and we were happy as can be. And I kept doing this over and over and over and over. And, to me, a book report was like nothing. I loved it. And I could see other kids just, crying about it. They were having a hard time. I was loving it, not knowing. I was actually doing all that learning, because I was doing it for real. There was no ChatGPT or Google that we could take this from. And I actually started learning so much tremendously. While I was reading, I was starting to learn about the world. I was starting to learn about the economy as far as other countries, how other people ate, you name it. I started traveling the world in my mind. My imagination started to spark like none other. And that's one way it started to really ignite that and it just exploded in that arena. And of course, I learned that there was how businesses were started, and you name it, topics about everything, info about everything.
Because again, books and reading books
Yes.
You can have the books, but
Yes.
if you don't read them, you're not going to absorb through
Correct.
osmosis what the book says.
Correct.
So books open up the imagination.
Yes, that inspired me, and knowing that I can be getting these things that I love, which is getting the food, and I was like, and then
You told that story to students, okay?
Yes, I did.
And it really resonated because, again, a lot of the students that we are teaching out there are not unlike Raul, being raised in a very limited family of means, with, again, no dreams about ever doing something great with their life.
Correct, Victor. And so, I kept going, started learning. And then, of course, we'd have these shows that would show in the morning. They had the TVs. And so I remember, I will never forget, I remember that they had Reading Rainbow. That was one of the shows I'll never forget. And I was on there because I wanted to see if they were going to show, what book they were going to show so I can read. And I remember looking back and seeing all these other kids, man, and they were just not paying attention. I'm like, because they had TVs at home.
Yeah.
And even cable,
Yeah.
maybe when it was barely coming out. I was absorbing as much as I could.
Right.
And so I take this, I kept growing, and then I started noticing little things that I didn't like seeing my mom going to work. That's one thing that really got me. That's just seeing her. She would clean houses, and so what I would do in summer, I said I would go and clean houses with her. To me, it would break my heart to see my mom come tired of home, And I said if I could just help her for a little bit. And so I started picking up little things as I was cleaning the house. As she was cleaning the house, I'd vacuum the floors. I'd do a little bit sweeping here and there, and then that evolved to actually sweeping outside the house, cleaning the windows, and then the people from those houses started giving me those little projects to do around the house, and they'd pay me a little, $10-$20, and I'd give it to my mom.
Raul, I want to ask you a question because I did some of what you're describing. Okay.
Awesome. Yes. Sir.
And the thought when I was doing that is like, this is women's work. If people find out that I'm doing women's work, I'm going to be toast.
Correct.
Did you ever battle with some of those feelings?
Maybe at first, Victor, but I remember it was almost like you had, like I said, so much love for your mom. You didn't care anymore.
Sure. It was a drive.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And especially when I was younger in school, I do remember that. There was this tendency, unknowingly, the teacher would drop something, and I wanted to go over there and clean it.
Yes.
And I had to kind of hold myself because I didn't know my friends are going to think I'm weird,
Yeah.
And so I know definitely what you're talking about, Victor. That is very true.
So your drive and passion to help your mother that would slave away cleaning homes and offices?
Offices,
Okay.
correct, at nighttime.
Again, living a very substandard lifestyle because you don't earn as much
Correct.
from that kind of work. You wanted to supplement the family outcome. And then what happened?
So then I started getting projects, started getting more stuff from the people as I was growing. And now I would go with my mom, but I would actually clean, actually do the lawn, put the lights, the Christmas lights, whatever they had, I'd take care of it. And that progressed. So I started I started a lawn business. And then my dad actually let me borrow the truck. So I would take the truck, go knock out my lawns, and come back and give them the truck. I later sold those lawns out to another contractor, you name it. But that triggered an inspiration. I was like, wait a second, I think I could start businesses here doing services.
Yes.
That's what started that.
That was the birth of your entrepreneurship.
Correct.
And of course, over time, you got good jobs.
I did.
That eventually led to you starting your business.
Yes.
But we're going to take a break from you because we have joining us in the studio today is Isaac. Welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you for having me. Yes, Victor always gives me a hard time. I love Victor. He's a good friend.
So Isaac, you know the story about Raul. Could you identify with some of that growing up?
That specifically, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
What part of Raul's story resonated with you about, again, being raised in a home as an immigrant child, being raised in a home where the parents did the best they could, but in America, the richest country in the world, you need to be prepared. You need to be on a path of education. That is a must. Being on a path of education, parents listening, is a must for all your children, and including yourself. If you don't have specialized training, Go to night school. Take online courses that now you can take online in any language. So what was your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I did a few things like he mentioned, the cleaning and the helping around the house, and it's quite humbling. And
Which taken seriously is like there's absolutely nothing wrong.
Totally agree. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah,
There is
but the
nothing
mindset
wrong
that-
with doing house chores and doing chores that women do.
Correct.
Because again, we've been brainwashed to have these
right,
stereotypes.
But I guess
Go ahead.
so I guess what I was saying, like in that point of my life, that's all I did because I didn't know what was the next step in my education
Yes.
to take the next step. So that's kind of what I did for a period of time, is just help around the house, clean. I was probably 16, 17 years old. But I always kept out for the opportunities.
Yes.
Like I always looked out, like even if I was doing something for a neighbor
Yes.
or for a friend, even helping them out around the house, that's cool. But I always kept my eye out for opportunities. And, which led some way in fashion, led me into the mortgage business too.
Listeners, I want you to understand that all three of us have something in common, is we got our eyes wide open for opportunities, okay?
Amen.
Mine started when I was a kid growing up in Piedras Negras, on the other side of a border town, and borrowing money from my mother to go buy a box of chiclets, okay, to sell on the street.
Wow.
So I would pay my mother back, had my profit, and then roll the money.
Wow, Victor, that's amazing.
And then I was selling newspapers on the street because again, and I wanted, this is such a critical component of success, is to be able to be a rainmaker, to make money from services or products that you provide.
Yes.
So back to your story, Raul. So when did your big break come to where you started now to be on a serious path to having an established business that was sustainable and growing, that you could provide for yourself, your family, employees? When did that come?
It happened about 13 years ago when I had a good job with another company. That was my last time of being an employee. It was about 13 years ago, and everything was going nice, but they messed with my money. And that really put me. Something about growing up this way taught me to you have to fend for yourself all the way, and do not take any crap. Let's just say
That earliest fight
Yes.
that you had with your cousins prepared you.
Yes, it did. It showed me you got to be on your toes when it comes to that.
Okay.
And I felt they were disrespecting me as far as taking away from my money, especially the way they were doing. And I said, you know what? This is it. I'm starting my business. And I had already, like I said, had experience with small businesses, but I did not want to go through it because there's a lot. As you know, it takes up a lot of energy.
Yes.
You become you wear the hats of so many positions. And I figured, you know what? I just want to be with a company that can take care of me for benefits, and everything's gonna be smooth, and I'll have good money, and I can relax on the weekends. But they upset me so much, Victor. I said, you know what? This is it. I'm gonna show them what a Texas boy can do. And I started my own security company here in Houston, and I went and started. Let the customers know, hey, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm going on my way. Here's my business card. Adios. Anything, let me know. And so I was like, and then 2 weeks into it, no work. And I'm like, oh, crap, what did I do? I was like, I'm not getting any money coming in or anything. And I'm now, I've got a family going also. And so maybe on the third week, I get a call. I'm just freaking out. So I pray to God. That's my Father, Lord, that He's always been there for me. I said, Father, I trust in your hands. I mean, let me, show me, guide me the way. And, maybe another week went by, and I get a call from a customer. And he says, hey, I got a section I need you to fence in. Because what I do, my security company, we put up electric fences. Our electric fences shock thieves trying to break in at night. And so I went, took a measurement of the property, and it turned out, got everything together, and I said it was going to cost me about 20 grand. And so, and at that point, I only had about half. And so I said, well, and my competitor, which was my former employer, they would not request any upfront costs for the construction of this electric fence. So I said, wow, this is going to look bad for me, but it is what it is. I got to tell my customer. So I went back to him and told him, look, man, I'm sorry, but I'm going to need about, a little bit more than 10 grand to put up that fence. And, and I'll do the other half. I was not expecting the next words he said. He actually said, Raul, I did not ask you to put money up front. I know the position you're in right now. Go back, redo your estimate, and I want you to put all the amount that you need, but don't, just be careful with that amount, but just go ahead and do it. I was like, I had to pick up my job from the ground and say, okay, are you sure? And he's like, go do it again. So I took off and I went home and I redid my estimate because he had a really hard, attitude, and I love that about him. And so I came back and I said, and I'm kind of shaking, trying to get the estimate. I was like, man, I'm gonna send it, but it's gonna feel so weird. I'm telling him to pay for everything. I send it off there. I go and meet him up again, and I said, hey, Joe, so this is it. This is the amount. I'm kind of sweating bullets here, also, And he says, are you sure that's all you need? I'm like, yes, sir. He says, all right, go with the accountant. And I was like, holy smokes, I'm in business. And I go to the accountant, she writes the check, and she gives it to me, and I'm literally shaking because I got money now. And I'm like, what do I do? I was like, time to go to work. So that's pretty much like the start of really the big point, breaking point of knowing I was in business now, and God was in control for my life.
What do you think of that story, Isaac?
I think God answered your prayer, man.
Thank you, sir.
At the right time,
Amen.
right timing. And he even came back, bro. He came back and said, put the amount that you need.
It's amazing, ain't it? I agree, brother. That's
an amazing story. That inspired me so
Thank
much,
you.
man.
I'm
I'm fired up,
blessed.
bro.
All right, heck
It
yeah.
makes me want to go out and get some money today.
Heck yeah.
These coaches are ready to coach. But again, these are the stories that we share with students that, again, their eyes are closed to possibility.
Correct.
I want to get your take, Raul and Isaac, on what you guys see going into the classroom and what you see coming out of the classroom. So what's your take?
Sure. My take, when I went and saw this, and it's been a while since I actually been disconnected from the school and seeing how everything's rolling. And I saw the kids, and I really saw that attitude. I was like, whatever kind of attitude, which is understandable, their age and everything's going on. I've heard so much going on as far as the news telling about the schools. And so I said, you know what? Wow, I looked at everybody, just kind of got the feel of it. And I mean, I was glad that they're there. But I said, you know what? I need to, all right, Father God, help me, put me in, and let me say this. I had been making a prayer a few months before this happened. I told God, Father, put me in the presence of those you want me to serve. But let it glorify you. That's what I want to do. And so these things have been happening. This is one of them. Isaac invited me, and I appreciate that, brother, for your invitation to Hero. And I went up and I saw the kids, and I said, how could I? You know what? I'm going to be straight up forward with them. Hey guys, I was your age, and I was, but the only difference is that I couldn't waste my time just slurching on the chair and not caring. I said I had a family, I had a dream, I had people I had to survive, I had to wake up, I had to inspire. I said I had a dream I wanted to be in. So once I started telling my story and connecting with them and following the Hero script, man, these kids started to connect. I saw their faces light up. I saw them; they were engaging with me. I mean, and of course, you'll still have one or two little stubborn ones there, but you actually catch them as you're working through, as you're talking through. You send a few words, and I think God's power, His presence, His Spirit starts to touch each one of these kids individually. Who knows what they're going in through life, also, And so I tried to understand them and show them love. And you know what? As I was at the end of my time with them, I can see they are just like lit, and they're going through the Hero paperwork, and I'm loving it. I was like, wow. So that's that's my take on it.
I was telling Raul that I read the post test, and a lot of students were mentioning him by name specifically.
Awesome. Come on.
How his story was very inspiring to them, that it really touched them. What's your experience in going into the classroom and coming out?
Yeah, well, I just want to point out one thing that it's going to be alignment with what he said, but he said, show them love. And I feel like that's another way to show compassion.
Absolutely.
We pour compassion, and in return, we get trust from them.
Yes.
They feel more trusted towards us.
Correct.
In case there's something going on with their life, they're opening up. They have more trust to say, you know what, I say, you've been coming here consistently every Saturday, and who knows what's in their hearts.
They either open up or I open them up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely. So just building that trust with them, and just being present, serving them.
Showing that you care.
Compassion.
That, again, nobody's paying you for this. It's like you're there because you care.
I care, absolutely. Absolutely. I could be sleeping in on a Saturday morning, resting up, but I'm there, 8 a.m. I'm there, ready to serve, ready to show compassion. ready to give them a little bit more of my story, our story.
Raul, any final words that you have for people that are listening and watching us that they might be interested in being coaches, hero coaches?
Yes, definitely. You know, if there's something in your life that you maybe, or you know that you're here for another reason, and if you still haven't found one, this would be the perfect reason. I really encourage you to take the time and look into it. And being out there and talking with these young minds is something so amazing, because you're helping them, you're really putting them on a path that can really change their life, that can really make them reach that top potential that God has created for them in their life. So yeah, definitely, if you're looking into doing something, this is the perfect program. I am enjoying it. I will, as long as my Father God allows me to do it, I will continue doing it. I am very happy with the team. They are amazing. Victor, thank you also, because you guided me during that script and all that.
Yes.
That was very helpful, and I am very, very thankful for you, for everything you've been on so far.
We're very thankful for your service. What about you, Isaac?
Absolutely.
What would you tell those interested in being coaches?
Yeah, so what I would tell you is that I've never seen a hunger in a community, kids being hungry, parents being hungry, and it's not that kind of hunger. It's hunger for a change, hunger for something different, and people are stepping out of their comfort zone and trying to change their lives. So that's very inspiring. And if you have a serving heart, this is the place to be at. You know.
There you have it, friends. Unfortunately, Jose Luis is telling us we are out of time. So keep Vicky Cruz in your prayers. Again, the viewing of Vicky Cruz's younger sister is tomorrow at Compián Funeral Home down there on the southeast on Broadway. And the viewing is, if I remember correctly, from 3 to about 8. So if you want to join the family, join us tomorrow. And the funeral services are going to be on Friday. That's going to do it for us today, friends. Until next time, go out and have a great week.
Adios.
Take care.